Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So before we jump into this story time, I just want to say I have a new song coming out really soon. I'll be announcing the release date in a couple days. So if you guys want to, please go follow me on Spotify, and if you have Apple Music, follow me on there. If you follow me on either of those, make sure you tweet me a photo or tag me on Instagram. I'm going to be following some people back on both throughout the week. So anyway, enough music talk, it's time to get into this story time. Now this story time is a really awkward one, a really ridiculous one. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's jump right into this. So today's story time is about the time that my friend's mom tried to kiss me. Definitely a very awkward situation. So this story time takes place back in 2017, but we need to go even further back, okay? Let's go back to when I was in first grade, okay? One of my first ever friends in my first grade class, let's just call him Max, okay? Max was one of my first ever friends. He's one of my best friends, and me and him have been really good friends all the way up until now. And ever since I was a young kid, I would always go over Max's house and hang out there and sleep over there. And Max's mom was a very nice lady, okay? And I can't lie, she was a pretty good looking lady too, alright? I'm not gonna sit here and hit on my friend's mom in this video and be all creepy because I respect her a lot and it's my best friend's mom. But Max's mom was a very pretty lady. That's all I need to say, okay? Now, I go over there all the time. I was very close with Max and his family, and they liked me, and I liked them. And there was never really any awkward situations throughout me and Max's friendship until 2017 hit, okay? So in 2017, I was living out in LA, and I came back to visit for a week to hang out with some friends and see my family and just visit with everybody. And on my first day back in my hometown, one of the first things I did was go and see Max and his mom. So yeah, Max came and picked me up. We went back to his house. I was stoked to see them. So me, him, and his mom just hung out in her kitchen for an hour just catching up, and they invited me back that night to a bonfire that Max was having. I guess Max was having a bunch of our school friends over and some of Max's other friends that he met from work. And I was like, yeah, for sure, I'll be there. What time do you want me to come over? And Max was like, come over at 9:30, 10. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So yeah, I hung out a little bit longer at Max's house for 30 more minutes, and then Max dropped me off back home before he went to work, and I planned on going back there around 10 after he got home from work. So yeah, when I was at my house all day just waiting for him to get out of work, I was so bored. I was literally just sitting around my house alone, trying to text people from my hometown, being like, yo, I'm home from LA for a week, come through. And pretty much all of them texted back and were like, nah, man, I can't, I'm at work, but come through Max's tonight, we're gonna be at a bonfire. I'm like, oh, bet, I'm already going. So I planned on seeing pretty much everybody that night. So fast forward, I got to be about 9 o'clock and I was really bored, so I started getting ready early. I took a shower, I got dressed in my bonfire clothes, which means a hoodie and jeans because mosquitoes are relentless creatures. So yeah, after I got ready, I kind of just sat in my room waiting for Max to text me when it was good to come over, and he finally texted me at 9:30. He's like, yeah, head over now, it doesn't matter if you get there early, you can just hang out with my mom. I'm like, okay. So I had my brother take me over there, and I got dropped off, and I go inside, and it's just his mom sitting at the table. She's like, hey, Austin, you're here early, come hang out. I'm like, okay. So I sit down at the table and it's just me and my friend's mom, which wasn't weird or anything. I had been going there my entire life, so it's not like it's the first time I've ever talked to his mom or something. So yeah, me and his mom were just talking. We were still catching up, basically. She was asking me about the best parts of LA, and I was telling her about what my favorite things to do out there were, and I was asking her about her life and what's been happening in it recently. And I was wearing a hat, and I took my hat off while we were talking, and I had recently dyed my hair blonde. And she was like, wow, your hair, it looks so good. I was like, thank you. She's like, did you dye it? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, it makes you look hot. And I have never heard somebody's mom call me hot before. So I was like, oh, thank you. That's a compliment. And even though it was a really nice compliment, I can't lie, I felt a little bit strange, hearing that from her. This is my friend's mom that I've known since first grade. So hearing her call me hot was just a little bit strange, but I just took it as a compliment and moved forward. I didn't think much of it. So me and her keep talking, and as we're talking, my friend walks in the front door. It was Max. I was like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, what's up, dude? You got here early. I'm like, yeah. And he comes over, he sits down, we're just talking, and some other people start showing up, and within the next 45 minutes, pretty much everybody was there, and we went out into the backyard and started the bonfire. And yeah, we all sat around that fire, we had s'mores, it was some real wholesome, just family camping trip type of vibe. So yeah, we're sitting around this fire, basically all catching up, just talking, and my friend's mom was sitting out there with us, and she was talking to us as well, and me and everybody else pretty much realized that she started getting a little bit tipsy. She started drinking like the minute the bonfire started, and like pretty quickly she got pretty buzzed. She was being so energetic and like so upbeat and just laughing at everything we were saying. And Max was like, okay, mom, like you're starting to embarrass me, like lay off the drinking a little bit. And she's like, oh no, I'm fine. And pretty much Max was the only one that was bothered by the fact that she was drinking, because he probably thought that she was embarrassing him. And you know, I understand that. Like if my mom was a little bit tipsy at a bonfire with a bunch of my close friends, and was, you know, acting a little bit tipsy, I'd probably be embarrassed too. But she wasn't acting embarrassing at all. She wasn't being like super obnoxious or anything like that. I don't think anybody there really cared that she was a little bit tipsy. But then she kept drinking, and like 45 minutes later, at this point, I would say that she was drunk. Like just full on, full buzz. She was very, very loud and like laughing hysterically. And at this point, she was just partying basically. And she's like, someone pass me a s'more, like pass me a s'more right now. And someone makes her a s'more and hands it to her. And she's like, oh, I love you. Like, I love all of you so much. Like, you're all like my kids. Like, I consider all of you family. And she looks at me and she starts squeezing my cheeks. And I was like, thank you. And she was like, oh, Austin, like, you've become such a handsome young man. And that was a little bit awkward in front of everybody. Like, they were laughing at me and stuff. So I try and deflect it. I was like, oh, like, nah. And she was like, no, I'm serious. Like, you're really handsome. Any girl will be lucky to have you. You're attractive. I'm like, thank you, I appreciate you. And Max goes, all right, like enough, mom, stop hitting on my friend. And she's like, so what? Like, you have hot friends. And then she starts pointing at all the people there. She's like, he's hot, he's hot, he's hot. And she points at me again. And like, at this point, it's just getting real awkward. So I just start making a s'more and then eating it, like just in silence while everything's going on. And Max just goes, all right, mom, like enough tonight. Like, you gotta go inside, no more hanging out with us, like go to sleep. And she goes, all right, fine, I'll go to sleep. I'll stop bothering you guys. But before I do, I need a goodnight kiss. And she goes, come on, Max. And he's like, mom, no, like go inside. She's like, come on, one kiss on the cheek and I'll go to sleep. And he's like, fine. And he kisses her on the cheek and everyone starts laughing because, you know, it's just like funny. She's being an embarrassing mom. And then she looks at me and she goes, all right, your turn, Austin. And she turns her head sideways and points to her cheek. And I'm like, okay, like I'll kiss my friend's mom on the cheek. Who cares, right? So I lean in to go for it. And all of a sudden she turns around and grabs my head with both of her hands and starts going for a full-on kiss, like right on my lips. And I pull away super quick. And my friend's like, mom, what are you doing? Why are you trying to kiss Austin? And the rest of the bonfire was just silent. Like they were in shock. And she starts laughing so hard. And my friend's like, mom, go inside right now. Go to bed. You're way too drunk. We're talking about this in the morning. Like, I can't believe you just tried to do that. And I'm just looking around like, did that really just happen? And yeah, she gets up, she goes inside, shuts the door, and she was laughing that entire time. Like, she laughed all the way from getting up to going into the house. And yeah, after she went inside, we were just left with this awkward silence because none of us knew what to say. So Max broke the silence. He was like, Austin, are you good? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fine. Are you good? He's like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry she tried to do that. Like, that's so embarrassing. And I was like, dude, don't even worry about it. Like, she was pretty tipsy. And he's like, yeah, man, like, never again. I'm never letting her hang out at one of these bonfires ever again. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And everybody else was still silent. It was so funny. And then, like, slowly over the span of, like, 10 minutes, we all started talking a little bit more, and we pretty much broke the awkward tension. So anyway, the rest of that night was pretty normal, but the next morning was a little bit awkward, too, because I woke up on their couch. I slept over at Max's house. And I woke up and I smelled breakfast, so I went into the kitchen and his mom was cooking breakfast. And I was like, hey. And she's like, hey, what's up? Like, I just want to say sorry about last night. And I'm like, it's all good, like, don't worry about it. And she was like, yeah, I don't remember much, but Max told me I was being really loud and drunk and just being really embarrassing. And I was like, it's all good, don't worry. And she's like, all right, thank you. And yeah, after that, Max came out of the kitchen, and me, her, and him sat down at the table and ate breakfast together. And in the end, everything was okay. There was a little bit of awkwardness for the rest of that day, but after that, everything pretty much went back to normal pretty quickly. And yeah, that's pretty much the one awkward situation / story that I have with Max and his mom. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace. Waste my life.